Welcome to the Vortex of Gemini, a portal of in-depth curiosity and endless possibilities. In each episode, I take you through a tunnel of emotions, sensations, and information. And in this tunnel, my intention is that not only our intellect, but all of our energy bodies are open to what we experience here. The mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual body. Try listening with all of them and see what gets activated within you. I'm your host. My name is Paulina, and I'm a 4/6 human design manifester ready to activate people. Wow, it feels super surreal hearing that intro. So I should introduce myself. My name is Paulina, and I come from Sweden. I am half Finnish with parents that are Finnish speaking, and I am a little bit confused in where I come from. But what is not confusing is that I'm grown up in the north of Sweden, in Kiruna, and this is a huge part of my person because as a child, I got to roam around under the northern lights, free as a bird. And this is something that I really take with me in my adult life. This sense of freedom. And I really feel like, after I turned 30, this is something that has grown in me. I've realized my need for freedom and my need for expressing myself and embracing my endless curiosity. I'm a very, very curious person, and it doesn't mean really that I'm snooping in other people's business. It's not that kind of curiosity. However, I guess when I was younger, it could mean that as well, because that is the shadow side of curiosity, being overly curious about everyone. But it manifests as me being curious not only in what I read and what I hear, but also in things such as feelings. Why do we have emotions? And why haven't we learned about it in school? Questioning a little bit our structures in society. And I know this can be quite triggering, and I'm aware that if I talk about these things, some people will be triggered, but that's fine because I've come to terms with what I really want to say out in the open, and I really want to contribute to a change in certain areas. So it feels really beautiful to have come to this conclusion that it's okay to express myself out in the open, because maybe there will be a ripple effect of some sort. Who knows? I'm also curious about even more fluffy things such as soulful things, because I really do believe that we have a soul, and it could potentially be the essence of who we are. So I'm very interested in exploring philosophical and spiritual things that is hard to put down into facts and figures, which I think is amazing, because I feel like the world is putting way too much emphasis on these hard facts and way less on the softer values and the things we cannot see. And I really believe that it has contributed to the rise in mental illness and people feeling unsafe and confused and lonely. And yeah, this is my hope that I get to explore these topics by myself, but also with guests and experts and free thinkers who can help me understand certain things and maybe build onto these topics that I've already built a curiosity for and put some more dimension to them. So, this is why I really feel that you, as a listener, should just relax in your brain as much as you can when you listen to this. You don't have to understand everything word by word with your mental capacity. You can also just listen and take it into your heart, as the heart is a center for awareness as well, and see what emotions arise in you when you hear certain things, and also maybe feel if your magnetic field, the field that is around your body, if something happens to it when you hear certain things. Maybe you get even physical sensations such as goosebumps. That happens to me a lot when I hear things that are really mind-blowing. So this is my hope, that this will be a place for soft and curious exploration of different topics. I chose this name, the Vortex of Gemini, for a few reasons, and I really want to break it down to you because some people think that I'm a Gemini in astrology, and I'm not. And then you might be like, but what? Okay, so here it is. So let's start with the word vortex. This is a word that has been with me for a few years now, and I'm really intrigued by it because it really sounds like something that you get sucked into that has all of your attention in all of the dimensions of you. So basically, could be like a whirlwind or a whirlpool with this little center in the middle, and water or air is just spinning around it, and in the center is completely still, and this is where the focus is. It's like a laser focus in there. And it could also be a tunnel. So that's really how I see it, and I wish that this podcast will be like a tunnel. But yeah, Gemini, in astronomical terms, is a constellation. And in astrology, it's one of the zodiac signs. Gemini, the twins, I think it's people born in, could it be end of May and then June? I believe so. And as I said, I'm not a Gemini. But I might lose some people here, but it's fine. I have my Mercury in Gemini, and Mercury is the planet of communication. So that makes sense. And then on top of that, I also have a lot of planets in my third house in astrology. And the third house is, I think it corresponds to the theme of Gemini, which is communication. So I think that's why I'm so drawn to Gemini, because I really have a Gemini spirit of some sort that just wants to come out. And I also suspect that I have a little wound in my communication where I've, as a kid, I didn't really dare to tell stories or talk in public because I didn't feel like I had the language for it. I didn't really feel like I knew how to structure sentences. I was really insecure. And I think I still have some of that in me. So I took on the challenge and I'm here now despite this insecurity. And I really hope that, yeah, I can put that in the back, that insecurity, that fear of mine. So Gemini stands for communication, but it also stands for playfulness and curiosity. And there was a quote on one astro page that I thought was really nice. It's a really short one, but it said, an unreserved and childlike curiosity, always asking new questions. And this was really like spot on for me. The name, it came to me and I felt it immediately. So that's really cool how piece by piece things started coming together. And actually, I haven't mentioned that in the beginning of this year, a friend of mine had a conversation with me about, I think she said something like, have you thought about starting a podcast? I think it was in January 2022. And in that moment, I was like, no, what are you talking about? No, that's not for me. I don't have the energy. I don't think it's my thing. So I completely shut it down. And then I think it was like 5 or 6 months later in the summer, it was like lightning struck in me and I got this idea of I should start a podcast. And there was no question about it. When that thought came to me, it was like, okay. So now I really have to thank my friend Kaya for saying that in January. And then it felt a little bit better knowing that someone else saw that in me, someone who knows me really well. And then it felt really good to actually take that decision because you don't always see things that others see in you. It's really hard to see yourself from an outside perspective. But then again, I've always known that I wanted to be on stage and I didn't know what kind of stage. I've realized in later years that it's not music. I really don't want to be a musician. And I thought as a teenager that would be my thing. A musician or a musical artist or something like this. But now I realize that all I want to do is speak from the heart and speak about topics that brings things up to the surface. Because I'm really, really tired of keeping things in. And this is not only within me. I feel like this in society. I really feel like people have been keeping things in so much, and in all the structures we've been building on the same structures and just adding things onto them and thinking that this is the way things are. I can't change anything. But I really feel like change is needed. Something is needing to happen because we can't function in society like this anymore. We need to invent new ways, right? And another clue to this podcasting thing is that when I was young, I wanted to become the voice that you hear in train stations and airports. And also any kind of automatic voice that you hear somewhere. I was really passionate about this and I used to imitate that voice all the time. And I remember actually once when I think I was about 15, in our local mall, the Swedish public radio station had a little booth in the middle of the mall. And you got to go into that booth and test record news. And I tried that and it was so much fun. All the professional equipment, the headphones, the microphone, the crisp sound. And then I remember that I got a piece of paper in front of me with all the news, and I think there was even the weather report. And I thought it was so much fun because I got to step into this news character, and yeah, I felt like it just flowed. and they emailed me this file. I don't know if I have it somewhere, but if I do, obviously I would publish it. But even that was a clue of something that comes natural to me that I could do in the future. And I had forgotten about this, but I think it was a few weeks ago when I remembered this, and I was like, oh, it's not so strange that I'm starting a podcast. It's actually natural. So, yeah, that's a little bit about the name and the history of me as a radio presenter. So, what theme will you hear in this podcast? I already mentioned heartful topics, spiritual topics, philosophical, psychological, societal topics that have to do with structures. One of my passions that I can't really explain is education and how our children are treated. And I don't have children of my own, but somehow it's a very deeply rooted, deeply rooted, heartfelt topic that I cannot shake off. So I know that this is part of my path as well. Another reason for why I am starting this podcast is because I feel like the world has entered a really interesting phase where we see a lot of pain and a lot of reactions, people reacting in pain to things that come their way. And obviously, it's not strange that this happens. I would like to have a space here where we can listen and explore without judgment and just really open our hearts to what we are hearing, because there might be golden nuggets in the most unusual, uncommon spaces that maybe you didn't even think existed. And by listening with an open heart, you might be able to access these nuggets, and maybe something will spark within you, and maybe it will lead to you finding a hobby that you never thought that you would find. Yeah, this is really my vision, that we can listen, really listen without reacting first. And I know it's hard, but I think it's necessary for a healthy environment to be able to listen. And this is something that I myself have been working quite hard on, because I've not always been a good listener, and I know what it can create when you react before you think. So I'm just imagining that this can be a place for dropping the tension and dropping into your body, learning with all of you. I think this was it for the first episode. I really want to thank you for listening and tuning in. Until next time, bye.